Coming up, if Congress doesn't act, the FAA faces budget cuts. We're tracking the impact. Plus, a star-studded AOPA Aviation Summit. How to convince your non-pilot relatives to come along with you. Look at the RV-14 and will fly formation aerobatics in an RV-4. AOPA Live this week begins right now. Our top story this week, the funding follies in Washington. Hello and welcome to AOPA Live this week for September 20th. I'm Tom Haynes. Well, the FAA isn't going to run out of money, at least not just yet. With the federal budget set to expire at the end of the month, the House of Representatives this week passed a continuing resolution that would extend all government operations for the next 6 months. Now, as we're recording this show, the Senate is debating that continuing resolution, but just about everybody expects that the Senate will pass it as well. But even if the Senate passes the continuing resolution, the FAA isn't out of the woods yet. That's because the so-called sequester is looming over the entire federal budget for the government. If Congress doesn't pass a real budget before the end of the year, mandatory cuts start slicing away at government programs. According to the Office of Management and Budget, FAA would lose more than $1 billion in a sequester. FAA's operations budget, and that's what pays for air traffic control, for example, would be cut by more than 8%. One analyst told AOPA Live that the FAA would probably furlough some employees if it has to absorb that cut. While we think general aviation aircraft deliveries are in the doldrums, one bright spot continues to be the kit build segment. For example, some 450 VANS aircraft will take flight this year alone, which is about half the number that all certified aircraft manufacturers combined are likely to produce this year. During a Northwest swing last week, AOPA President Craig Fuller and I stopped by the VANS factory in Aurora, Oregon for a tour. Typical, VANS founder Richard Van Grunsven led the tour himself and introduced us to his latest model, the RV-14. Debuting at AirVenture, the RV-14 is a wider side-by-side two-place airplane meant to bridge the smaller RV-7 and the four-place hauler, the RV-10.
We kind of got to wondering, well, couldn't we back some of these features into the two-seat airplanes? In other words, make the two-seat series of airplanes, or at least an extension of that.
Like other two-place RVs, the RV-14 is aerobatic, but is built to be comfortable for cross-country traveling as well, leveraging the proprietary airfoil developed for the larger RV-10.
And we altered the canopy so that it was taller. We had a better field of view in all respects, forward, side, down, you name it.
As many other GA companies have done, VANS has slotted the RV-14 into a niche in its product line.
In a way, this airplane is an RV-7 on steroids. In another way, it's an RV-10 on a diet.
In typical VANS, the RV-14 is a good performer, simple to fly, and, being all aluminum, easy to build too.
Performance is quite good. We've got a 210 horsepower Lycoming IO390 engine. I believe the max cruise is about 195 statute at altitude. Rate of climb at gross weight of approaching 2,000 feet a minute.
While the model we saw looks ready to go, designing the kits themselves will take more time.
We're going to start selling portions of the kit within a month. The wing kit will be the first available. We've still got more testing and development on some of the other components.
So builders will be able to get started soon while other kit components mature. Quick build kits, which dramatically reduce build times, will be available soon after the regular kits are completed. Oh, you want a tailwheel version? Well, they can do that too. Look for a complete report on the RV-14 once the project is a little bit further along. Well, after the tour of the VANS factory, AOPA President Craig Fuller continued on to Anchorage, Alaska. There he joined Senator Mark Begich and more than 100 pilots and friends of aviation to celebrate General Aviation Month in Alaska. More than 80% of Alaskan towns don't have road access, if you can believe it. So General Aviation is the only reliable year-round transportation for a good number of those Alaskan residents. When we come back, flying the new and improved Phenom 100, and a little bit later, just playing around in some RV-4s.
It's been called the most sophisticated single-engine airplane ever, but to the people whose loved ones are alive today, it's called a lifesaver. The Cirrus Airframe Parachute System, only from Cirrus Aircraft.
Welcome back to AOPA Live this week. We have a couple of ADs for Piper aircraft to tell you about. The FAA wants to supersede the PA-31 exhaust system airworthiness directive and require repetitive inspections of the entire exhaust system. That's a notice of a proposed rulemaking, at least. Comments are due November 2nd, and the FAA has issued a final rule adopting an airworthiness directive for PA-24 aircraft, requiring inspections or replacement of stabilator horn assemblies. Well, back in 2009, a light jet from Brazil made its debut in the American market. Since then, the Embraer Phenom 100 has proven to be a popular performer. There now are some recent updates to the aircraft. Here's more from AOPA Pilot Editor-at-Large Tom Horn.
The first Phenom 100s came out in late 2008. It was a clean sheet design from Embraer, and it caught everybody's imagination. Well, now there's about 260, 270 of them out there flying, and they've made improvements over the years. It wasn't all rosy in the beginning. We're here to check out some of the improvements they've made and to get reacquainted with the airplane. Before the flight, we talked with Matt Hagens, owner of Naples Jet Center, which is an authorized Embraer service center. We talked with Matt about some of the changes that the Phenom 100 has gone through over the years. It may sound trivial, but one of the first issues was the cabin door.
Well, let me take you back even before the airplane was built. Embraer brought in industry experts and potential customers for the airplane in a program called MMI, Man-Machine Interface, to finish the design, prove out to make sure it was ready for the market. And one of the issues was that people wanted a telescopic hard rail feel on the airplane. In addition, they wanted lights on the steps. So they came up with a option called the premium passenger door. And I would say that option is now selected on something like 90% of the airplanes.
The flaps were another improvement. In early Phenom 100s, there were false flap mismatch warnings.
Most airplanes have a mechanical connection between the left and the right flap to avoid asymmetry. Obviously, asymmetrical flaps can be a disaster. This thing, it's all done electronically. When the airplane was power off, and you'd select the flap panel mechanically from 0 to flaps 3, and then turn the power on, the system would say, wait a minute, the flap panel is in 3, but the flaps are fully up. That's a fault, and you'd get a flap fault for that. But those have all been fixed now, and mostly with software.
The brake system also went through some big changes. The first Phenom 100s had powerful brakes, but an unnatural feel.
A lot of the issues were, I think, just the total difference of the way the system's designed compared to other aircraft. It's a fly-by-wire braking or brake-by-wire system, and pilots weren't used to it. And the artificial feel of a spring instead of a master cylinder confused a lot of pilots. So the system they've developed now is a much better computer, so it's more gradual braking. Mechanically better, they've changed the angle of the brake pedal, the transducers, and they've changed the spring to a much softer feel, so it feels like a real brake system. And I think it's going to be easier for pilots to feel comfortable with it. It's a big improvement.
Our flight would take us to Vero Beach, Florida, where we were to have a photo shoot. But a line of storms came through and put an end to those plans. Then it was a night flight back to Naples, all the while navigating through that line of storms. Embraer has made great strides with this Phenom line, and in its manufacturing as well. Recently, the company opened a final assembly plant in Melbourne, Florida. Tom Horn, AOPA Live.
Well, as Tom mentioned, last year Embraer inaugurated its final assembly plant in Melbourne, Florida. This is a state-of-the-art facility. All the engineering drawings are on laptops. Aircraft components are joined by robotic jigs controlled wirelessly by those laptops. And this is where Phenom 100s and 300s are built and painted for American customers. It's also where the custom interiors are installed. Embraer also recently opened its Global Customer Center next to the assembly plant. Here, customers can pick out just the right kind of leather for that custom interior and decide on a spiffy paint color. When we come back, there's fun at the AOPA Aviation Summit, even for non-pilots, and fun in the skies over Frederick.
The thing about radar is you don't know, is this convective? Whereas storm scope, no question what it is. It will save your butt and your airplane.
If you fly into many smaller GA airports, you know that your best choice for a rental car is usually Enterprise. Now AOPA has entered into a strategic partnership with Enterprise Holdings, which operates not only Enterprise Rent-A-Car, but also National and Alamo. As a strategic partner in AOPA's new corporate partnership program, the Enterprise, National, and Alamo brands will show support for the association all year round through sponsorship and engagement activities that will benefit AOPA members, while also providing them with special rental car offers and discounts. Enterprise's worldwide network includes more than 7,800 neighborhood and airport locations. For more information on special offers and discounts through this new strategic partnership, visit aopa.org/cars. And whether you fly or drive, we hope you visit the AOPA Aviation Summit early next month in Palm Springs. We've just confirmed that pilot, aviation advocate, and actor Harrison Ford will be a keynote speaker October 12th on the summit stage to talk about the importance of general aviation to the United States. Harrison knows what he's talking about. He owns and flies a variety of aircraft, and he has advocated for general aviation in a lot of different forums, including in front of Congress. Well, we are just 3 weeks away from AOPA Aviation Summit 2012 in sunny Palm Springs, and there's still time to register. If you're having a hard time convincing the non-pilot in the family to join you, never fear, as AOPA Live's Paul Harrop has a look at the other things to do while they're with you at Summit.
You know you want to be here. Just look around.
Anytime we ask our exhibitors and attendees what destination they want AOPA to bring their show to, Palm Springs is always top of the list.
Between the palm trees, blue skies, and epic mountains, it's not hard to see why.
What's not to love about Palm Springs? You know, it's one of the few places that you can come to in the middle of winter where you've got 73, 75 degrees every day and we have snow-capped mountains.
Sure, AOPA Aviation Summit is going to be filled with the best programming in aviation, but if that's not your thing.
We have world-class shopping in El Paseo, just down the street in Palm Desert. We have world-class restaurants here and of course world-class golf courses and resorts. It really is a place where anyone and everyone can find something that's really going to suit them and they're going to enjoy.
You can even take a picture with the 3-story statue of Marilyn Monroe.
It's only going to be here for a limited time. They're talking about moving it next year internationally, so it may be the last time in the U.S. that you can see it. We've designed a concert with a tribute to Elvis, so it's going to be a fun night downtown. Lots going on, all of this just for AOPA.
It really is the red carpet treatment with a friendly and welcoming feel to it.
Paul, this is a great place to be if you just want to be in the sun, if you want to enjoy the wonderful nightlife, the hotels, the nature's beauty, from the hiking trails to the tram. We've got it all here in Palm Springs.
In sunny Palm Springs, Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
Well, thanks, Paul. And just so you know, we've extended the early registration deadline until October 1st. You can learn more about the event and register today at aopa.org/summit. And whether or not you make it to Summit, you can still bid on items in the Night for Flight silent auction. Proceeds from the auction go to the AOPA Foundation to help fund the Foundation's work to preserve our freedom to fly. Here are some top items. You can bid on the chance to join Harrison Ford and me at the Night for Flight Gala at the beautiful Riviera Palm Springs Resort. It'll be a fascinating evening, and I guarantee that Harrison loves talking airplanes. You could pick up a brand new Phenom P92 TD tail dragger at a great price. That's if you're not outbid. How about 80,000 miles on Hawaiian Airlines and a scenic flight in the original Hawaiian Airlines 1929 Belanca CH-300? Or an Alaskan excursion with Jim Tweedo of Flying Wild Alaska fame. But wait, there's more. There's a scenic flight in a T6 with country music star Aaron Tippin. You can find out more about it at biddingforgood.org/AOPA Foundation. Well, the National Aeronautic Association last week gave the Lightspeed Aviation Foundation one of its significant awards. NAA's Champion of Public Benefit Flying recognized the Lightspeed Foundation's efforts to support and promote groups involved in public flying. Each year, the Lightspeed Foundation gives grants to nonprofit aviation organizations based on pilot votes. You can vote for your favorite aviation charity at lightspeedaviationfoundation.org. And finally this week, have you ever wondered what AOPA staffers do when we're not serving members? Well, fly, of course. We'll leave you with video from AOPA pilot senior editor Dave Hirschman as he flies formation and does aerobatics in his Vans RV4. I'm Tom Haynes. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Thursday on AOPA Live This Week.